Welcome to Your Worthy Career, a podcast with me, Melissa Lawrence. I'm a career and life coach with all the corporate cred in talent development and organizational psychology, and I help women like you get extraordinary results by being more you, not less. I won't just help you have a career experience worthy of you, but I will help you build your self-worth to shift what you think is possible and take the action that will create the career you've always wanted. Whether it's more meaningful work you're passionate about, making more money, getting to your next level, or being more effective as a leader, we are shattering the glass ceiling here, the one that exists for women at work and the one we put on ourselves with our doubt and inner critic. Each week, you will get practical teachings grounded in neuroscience and effective career development strategies. You'll experience deep mindset shifts and the perfect amount of woo so you can run your career with ease rather than your career running you. You were born for more, and I'm going to help you get there, with maybe a few dance parties along the way. Your up level begins now. Hello, everyone. I am here with Ellen, my wife, Ellen Lawrence. She works in analytical development, right?
Yes.
And you lead a team.
I lead a team of amazing scientists that are even greater people than they are scientists.
Amazing. And so I have to tell you that Ellen propositioned me. And not in the way that your dirty mind might be thinking right now. But we are married, okay? But it was a proposition to come on the podcast. And she wanted to call it the Tipsy turnaround, where we have a glass of wine and she asked me questions and I have no idea what she's going to ask me. So this is very different than when I had her on the podcast to talk about her experience working in the industry and her leadership experience and sharing her wisdom with everyone. She is turning the tables.
Yes, I am turning the mic around onto you so that you have to answer my questions.
Okay, but in fairness, when I have people on my podcast, I give them the questions ahead of time so they are prepared. So it's not exactly the same.
In fairness, I would like your audience to know you specifically told me not to give you the question.
Well, I thought it would be more fun for everyone.
So
I thought it would be more fun.
This is transparency, 100% transparency.
It is. And I'm a little scared because I have no idea what you're going to ask.
You have nothing to be fearful of. Absolutely.
All right.
All right. So let's get going.
Okay.
All right.
You're leading the show.
Yeah.
I'm the guest.
Right. So welcome to Your Worthy Career with Melissa Lawrence, hosted by Ellen Lawrence, turning the mic around on Melissa Lawrence. So Melissa, thinking back to 2020, spring of 2020, as we went into the summer of 2020, you launched your business and you began coaching folks, kind of a combination of career and life coaching. You told me repeatedly, if you only helped one person over the entirety of your career as a coach, it would be more than worth it for you to have made this transition from this successful industry working person that was like coaching people in an industrial setting to taking the side of the person you were coaching. Here we are, nearly 3 years later. Mm-hmm. I know you've helped tens of people from the limited amounts. No, at least tens of people from the limited amounts of information that I get.
Oh my gosh, you're so funny. You know, tens of people.
A confidentiality portion here that
you're right. It's like 50 to 100.
No,
it's not like you
right?
Can't say.
You didn't let me finish what I was saying. So I know from what you've told me in terms of like numbers of clients that you've worked with and numbers of people that have attended workshops.
Right. We have to have boundaries.
Gone and spoken with in person. It's like tens of people. But I would argue it's on the order of like hundreds to thousands of people because of your reach on social media, the inspiring things you post on LinkedIn, the inspiring things you post on Instagram, the reach that you have with this podcast. You've affected most certainly more than one person, and I would say you're hundreds of thousands of people. So when you think about that,
we went from tens to hundreds of thousands. Okay, I'm here for it. Yes,
because you didn't let me This is my question. So when you think about that and you think back
Yes.
to that moment before you embarked on this business and said, if I help only one person, reflecting back and thinking now about the big picture and the impact that you have had on many, many people, how do you feel?
Oh, wow. You're like hitting it hard from the beginning.
I mean,
I don't know. I feel like it's like making me cry a little bit.
oh,
Like,
like I know little bits and pieces of information, and my suspicion is that you have been much more successful than what you've led on to me. And I'm like the person in your life that, we share everything. So the fact that what I'm seeing are little bits and pieces, and I'm looking at it as, look at my wife. She's amazing, and she's done such wonderful things with this job and this role that she kind of created for herself. I want to know how you feel.
yeah, it's a little surreal, to be honest. So I feel grateful. I feel grateful to have the opportunity to help people, and that when people come to me that they trust me to help them. Like, I don't take that lightly, which is why I think better than anyone how hard I can be on myself sometimes to really like over deliver and make sure that my clients meet their goals and get what they hired me for to the best of my ability. Of course, it takes both of us because they have to do the work also. But I don't take that decision of someone trusting me, to help them with their money, to help them get a result lightly. And so I feel grateful to be in a position where people can see me and understand me and trust me and take that path with me. So gratitude definitely comes to mind. And it also is, for me, it's me rising to my next level, right? So when I started, it was like one person, right? Like if one person trusts me to help them on my own, not because they work for the same company I work for, or they have to, or I was assigned to them, or their HR person told them to, but they did it on their own and I can get them what they want, like that will be everything for me. And the thing that I think about is just, and I talk about it on this podcast and I talk about it online around just the impact of those results. So if someone comes to me and they want to figure out what they want for their career, it's like they get that, but then they also are building their confidence and having better relationships. And I'm just in awe of that. I'm awe of like this work that I do. And it really validates for me over and over again that this is what I'm supposed to do. And so it's just a combination of like, I'm in awe, I feel grateful, I feel motivated to always be better, to continually learn. And I'm not someone that thinks that you just learn one thing and then that's it. Like, I'm always trying to be better as a coach, to make sure I'm current in the industry, current with the trends around development, that I'm testing everything on myself before I ever offer it to a client, that I just am in integrity of what I do. And I think that that is what allows me to have the success that you see.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I agree. Like, for those of you, which I think there are only a few people that are in your audience that actually know us personally. One of the yeah, maybe fives. Like it's a smaller circle. When I first met Melissa back in 2012 and got to know her, one of the things that struck me about you, and I mean, you know this very well, was your belief that everyone has a story, right? Everyone has their own perspective and their own view on things, and they have their own story that has kind of led them to the point in life where they are. When I think about this role, I feel like you were born to perform this job that you do every day. And I'm just curious, when people open up to you and they put that factor of trust in you that you mentioned, we both have listened to Brene Brown. We know how difficult it is for people to open up and be vulnerable. We even know that from our own life experience. Mm-hmm. What does it mean to you that your clients place this trust and this vulnerability in you to help guide them
Mm-hmm.
wherever it is that they want to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a privilege. Like what I said before, I really don't take it lightly. Like, I know that's like for myself too. Like, I'm more open now than I used to be, right? Like, when we met, I was a lot more closed off, didn't really talk about personal, vulnerable things.
Questioned why I was looking her in the eye. Why are you looking at my
Right. Why are
eyes?
you looking at me
Why
like
do you
this?
keep looking back and forth
Yes.
between my eyes?
Yes. So, right. So that was challenging for me like years ago to be vulnerable with others. And so I tell some of my clients this. I don't know that I share it with all of them, but all of the people that I work with are some part of me. So everything that I have helped my clients with, I have experienced myself on some level. Whether it's something that they experienced as a child, something that they're experiencing now at work, something that they're experiencing as far as their beliefs about themselves. And that just allows me to help them in a very unique way and to work with them in a very unique way. And it's always very like serendipitous because sometimes it's really obvious and sometimes it's not. Sometimes it'll be several sessions in, and like I was having a conversation with a client a couple of weeks ago, and she was talking about her sensitivity around working with animal studies. And that's how I started in the industry, was working with non-clinical tox studies. And that's not a place I ever saw myself being. And I ended up getting a beagle because we tested on beagles, and like I could really resonate with that. And it's not something I've ever talked about in my marketing. It's not something that we ever would have known, but I feel like the universe is kind of at bigger play with these things because I just see parts of myself in all of my clients, and I think that just allows me to help them. So that trust piece is very important. And I think sometimes when people come to work with me, they don't understand why I work with people for an extended period of time. Like why it's not just a quick fix. Like let's just meet for a session or two. And a big part of that isn't just the process I have that takes more than a session or two, but it's also the trust piece, because to really get into like why you're not happy, like why you're not confident, why you doubt yourself, what is going to have to happen for you to think differently about yourself and at work long term for the rest of your life, you're not going to have the trust to really talk to me about those important things in like the first session or the first month. A lot of times that comes up after 5, 6, 7, 8 sessions when we've really started to build that deep trust with each other, and you especially with me. And that allows us to do the work that's really going to set everyone free to have the life that they want to have. So them, to me, like when we have that consultation call, or whether it's an application for one of my programs, deciding like, yes, this is the person that I want to work with and I'm going to trust this process is everything, because that's the beginning stage to what everyone wants.
Yeah. That piece of a lot of what your clients are going through or are dealing with is reminiscent or similar to things that you have gone through. Do you feel that piece really kind of brings out that empathetic side of you that enables you to be so invested and to kind of go all in to provide folks with the help that they need? I mean, I know you very well, and I know you are a huge empath in life in general. But I also know that if something resonates very personally with you, it kind of not accelerates, but exacerbates that characteristic about you. Do you feel that that's true, or do you feel I'm reaching here?
Sip some wine, honey. You need to refill. I would say that I am definitely very invested in my clients, and I think that there is. I wonder if anyone can hear the jug, the pour in the glass.
Sure.
I'm like, but yeah, I definitely am very invested, and I know there's a lot of school of thought on this, and like the coaching industry in general, or just if you look at professional coaching or what might be offered in the form of development at work, it tends to be a little bit more sterile and a little bit more neutral, and like, here are the resources, and then you would need to do your part, and then if you make it, you make it. If you don't, you don't. And I'm a lot more personalized and invested in the people that I work with, and that's why I chose to work with people one-to-one, or I should say like outside of a corporate setting. That's why I left corporate to do this on my own, so that people are hiring me, because there's no bias then there for the company. It's just me who's like cares about your development just as much as you do, that cares about you getting your goals just as much as you do. And so I definitely do everything in my power to help the person that I'm working with get what they need and get what they want and to understand themselves more than they did before we started working together. So that investment, I think, definitely helps me be a better coach. Like I said, I resonate with, I don't think there's anything any client has ever brought to me that I haven't experienced. So I think that really helps.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. So we touched on kind of a couple of your personality characteristics. And I mean, as I said, I know you quite well. So we talked about, everyone has a story and you wanting to understand that person's story and kind of how that feeds into that strong feeling of empathy that you tend to have for people. When you look inward at yourself, what 3 personality characteristics do you think are most important in your role as a career coach that you embody?
Dang.
You thought I was hard hitting at first. I mean,
Okay. 3 characteristics.
Yeah.
Okay. I think listening or like objectivity, right? So something with coaching is as much as I can be empathetic and resonate, I'm not there to like jump in the pool with my clients. So if like my client's in the pool and they're like, my work sucks and my boss sucks and like I will certainly validate the way that you feel, but I'm not going to jump in that pool with you and we're not just going to wait around talking about like how your work sucks. So I'm there to like be objective and to help you see what you can't see, to see like where you might be getting in your own way, a different perspective to approach something. And that all comes from being objective and neutral, which is why the coaching is so different than like talking to a friend or a partner or anything like that, because they're going to be biased, right? So like even when you and I talk about work things, and you ask my advice or what to do, like I tell you like this is what I would do, but like I'm biased because I'm looking out for your best interest. Our best interest is our family. So it's different than a client where I have, some of that removal to kind of step into that role and be objective. I think the second is, I think that the drive, I don't know if I would call it, like it's not just one word, but the drive to be the best or like an expert in what you do. So I think it's more than being objective. I think you have to, at least for me, it's important for me that I know what I'm talking about. I talk a lot about neuroscience and psychology and the way that your brain works. And I think it's important that I know what I'm talking about, that I'm not just asking you how you're feeling or asking you what you want to do or guiding you through your own decision making, which is very helpful, but also that there is some grounded science and expertise behind what I'm doing. And I think for me, I have that combination of, it's like coaching and consulting because I worked in talent development. I have a master's in organizational psychology. I have the skill set that I can use with like traditional coaching methods to help get results. So that's 2. And then I think 3 is, I could say generally, but I'm going to say specifically more for who I work with. I think it's an approachability. So I think something that helps people trust me, like we talk about the importance of trust, is that I'm approachable. Like I'm a safe space. You can talk to me about anything and I'm not going to judge you or shame you for it. I'm going to be on your side, but like also help you get what you want. And I think I really try to be authentic, to say hard things, to show up in imperfect ways, to be approachable and relatable so that people feel safe to talk to me because, I'm on their side and we're all the same and there's no hierarchy where I'm like a better person or have something over them. It's just I have a skill set that can help them get what they need.
Got it. Okay. I like it.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Maybe I should have gotten these in advance.
I mean, maybe. So kind of going back to where we started thinking about 3 years ago, as we had these conversations around you starting this business and what is the right timing of when to do it. What was scariest for you about embarking on a new career after having so much success in your previous roles? And don't just say failure.
I mean, it is failure, but I was gonna, wow. Like,
Don't
that
take-
can't be right.
Don't take the easy way out.
I mean, I think everyone's afraid of failure,
Well,
but I mean, okay, so if we take it deeper than just failure, it was two things: pride and shame. So, or embarrassment.
wow, those are very, pride and shame are kind of different ends of the
Yeah,
spectrum.
it was like, so I have this pride about wanting to have a successful business, to stand on my own, to be independent, even though I'm in a marriage. And I didn't want the perception that, you know, I'm just like this stay-at-home wife with a hobby. So, you know, I had some thoughts about that. Like, I didn't want people to think that about me because I am an expert. I work very hard in my career, and that's not the case. So I didn't want people to think that about me, although I know that we can't control other people's thoughts, right? That's even something that Coach John, like, that's a very normal thing to worry what other people will think, but we can't control that. It's not really relevant, but it was a natural reaction I had at that time. And also just, so you said I can't say failure, but it was that I had worked really hard for my career and I was able to make the jump because I had worked through the worst case scenario, which is that I would go back and get a job, that I would go back to industry, that I would go back into talent development,
That you would
go
back
ask for
to a
my job
successful
back.
career.
Yes.
You had worked so hard to
Yes.
But
The embarrassment
Clancy.
that would come with that of like, I'm going to try something that I feel very strongly is an area of expertise of mine, that is proven and demonstrated, and that I couldn't hack it on my own. And I would have to go like groveling back,
Tail
as you
between
know.
legs.
Yes, and be like, it didn't work. Please give me my job back, or like, you know, explain, you know, that I had taken this time to start this business and wasn't successful, which at the end of the day is really not that bad, right? Like, you're laughing and we're laughing because it's like, that's really not, you know, a really awful outcome to have to do that. But for me, as someone that's very proud of what I deliver and like wanting to, like, I mean, I've always been driven my whole life to like have a positive impact on society. And for me to have this idea to do that in this way and have it not work was just heartbreaking to me. So that was just something, it's like, you have to just kind of gag and go. You just have to give it a try and see how it goes. And if it doesn't work out, then there's always other options, right? But I don't want to live my life like afraid to try.
Yeah. And I mean, that's a really good mindset to have. A lot of very successful people failed a number of times before they found that success. So that's why I didn't want you to just say failure.
Right.
Was because the fear of failure shouldn't be something that holds anyone back. And I'm glad that in this case, you know, you had kind of the pride, the shame, the embarrassment factors, but I'm really happy that you had kind of the support you needed and the encouragement you needed and just the courage to strike out on your own and work for individuals who, like you said, sought you out on their own.
Right, exactly.
Because it has made a big difference.
Exactly. And like, that's a big part of my marketing. Like, I don't reach out to people and say, hey, want to be my client? Like, all of my people like reach out to me to schedule a consultation. We see if it's a good fit. That's really important because it's not about just like the money. It's about helping people, and to help people, it has to be a good fit. And I'm not, you know, I'm here to say, this is what I offer. This is how I can help you. I share things that help people in my marketing so they can get a little bit of taste of what it's like. And then it's up to them to reach out to me when they're ready to take that step. But I will say, because, you know, you had a little bit of like, you have the support, and I do have the support. And I do think that the courage that I had to build to be with you is what gave me, it was like a foundation to take this step. Because changing my life to be with you was like the scariest thing I had ever done. And so doing that and seeing that that could be okay allowed me to say, okay, here's another part of my life, my career. Let's blow that up. I could be okay. Right? Because I mean, that's how you build confidence is things. The more that you do scary things, the more you can see you can do scary things.
Yeah, I mean, they say you're never really ready for the big changes, right? When people think about marriage, or they think about kids, or they think about buying a house, people are like, you just have to like, do it.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say pull the trigger, but that's not a very good analogy these days.
No,
like you just have.
We'll go with Nike. Just do it.
Just do it. Yeah. You just have to take the steps and move forward, and everything will work itself out. Like there might be hard times, but you'll figure out a way to keep moving forward.
Yes.
So, well, kind of. Are you looking at my notes? Because I feel like
I cannot even see your phone.
Okay, good.
That's your wine talking. Oh my gosh.
Well, no, you kind of hinted at this, but when you think back about, you know, the last 3 years and kind of launching a business and then kind of pivoting and moving little bits where you have, when you think about the support that you've needed from me and the kids, like what has been the greatest value to you within that little small support network over the past 3 years?
Oh, are you like fishing for compliments right
No.
I'm just...
No, I'm asking you how you were able to like initially get the courage to make the change.
Okay.
Other than, you know, because you'd had this big life change before. But like when you've hit those low points where you've questioned things or you've second guessed decisions that you've made, what has it been that you've kind of needed within your own home environment that has helped to keep you going?
Ooh. I mean, I am, all kidding aside, very fortunate to have so much support in every way that you define that at home. And that does make a difference because I remember, you know, I will have goals for myself. And whether it be with new programs or something, a new method I'm trying with coaching, and I will have a goal. And if I don't meet that goal, earlier in my business especially, I would get really down on it and question, like, what am I doing this right? What am I doing? And I remember with one of those scenarios, I had bought those confetti cannons. And I was like, I'm buying these confetti cannons to celebrate myself and celebrate this goal. And then I didn't meet the goal. And you and the kids are like, we are still popping those confetti cannons. And because you tried it, because you went out and you did it and you tried it, and it's okay that you didn't get the outcome that you wanted, but you tried it. And that's more information for you now. And I was like, no, you know, and so I took a couple of days, and then eventually we shot those confetti cannons in the backyard. And I think that you and the kids always, you're like a neutral reminder of who I am. And I don't know, it's weird because I say neutral and you guys like love me more than anyone. So like you're not, but I mean neutral from my brain. So like I have a human brain too, right? So even though I'm a coach and even though I'm an expert in all of these things, I have a human brain. I just also have the tools to manage it. And so I'm more effective at it. And I also tell my clients, I tell people generally that your brain can't solve your brain's problems. And that's true for everyone. So when you're in your brain, it's a different experience as when you have a trained professional looking at your brain. And so when I'm coaching, I'm a trained professional looking at your brain, but that doesn't mean I don't have a human brain and I don't fall like into a trap of negative thinking sometimes. And so you and the kids just remind me of who I am. You're just like, no, you're amazing. And like, you just see things so neutrally. If I try something and it doesn't work for me, it might be more devastating. But for you all, it's just like, okay, but obviously you're amazing. And obviously you're a genius. And obviously you get people so much help and results. And so obviously, like, you just need to try something else. Like, you know, and so that is just, it's so, like I said, you're not neutral to me, but you're neutral to my brain to help me kind of question things that I might be more negative on. And just, you never doubt me. Like, you and the kids never doubt me. Like, you and the kids have never been like, you know what? yeah, you should just give this up. Or
Roll
like,
that back.
yeah, like there's a McDonald's near the house. Maybe you need to just submit your application. So you never do that.
I mean, unless it was McDonald's has become the like analogy to like a current day bar where people are going to be like coming up to the counter and ordering a Big Mac and asking you for life advice. That would not be the job for you.
Right.
That would be a waste of your talent.
Right. Did I ramble on that too much? Maybe?
No.
Okay.
I thought that was really good. So no,
So
I'm glad that we're not neutral in how we feel about you, but that to your brain we are neutral.
Yeah, you are. It's helpful.
Good. When you think back to the transition that you went through to start your business and to move from the job you had in industry to kind of this, you know, I won't call it a sole proprietorship because that's not what it is. It's an LLC. But this role where you are just dependent upon yourself and you're trying to build a business with the service that you provide to people, knowing what you know now, what would you do differently now that you did not think about or know about back when you started your business?
Ooh.
I'm happy that my questions are making you go, ooh, because it means that they're good questions and they're not like some like really simple.
Yeah.
That's a you know.
Yeah. I mean,
Softball.
a softball.
Yeah. You can hit it out of the park.
Yeah. I honestly, like, I don't know how I feel about giving this answer, but this is the real answer, which is I spent a lot of time, especially the first year, thinking that there was a right way to do what I wanted to do that was outside of myself. And it's ironic because I help people figure out what they want for their careers and for their life without looking at what everyone else wants or thinking there's a right way. And I even teach how our brains work in that way. We're just raised from the time that we're born to look to others to tell us what to do. Whether it's like when you're a baby and you're born butt naked and like your caretakers are like, you need to wear clothes and these are the clothes you need to wear. Or you're in school and there's standardized testing and there's a right answer. Or you're in college and there's testing and you're in your work and there's like performance rankings. And there's always a right way to get whatever the goal is.
Yeah, quote unquote, right.
Right. And so the reason I started my business was because I was in that environment and I felt so strongly about advocating for other people and helping them in my way without it being biased to anything. Yeah, I found myself this first year really being like, how do I do this? Because it was a new skill set, right? I knew how to coach. I knew how to help people. I didn't know how to be a CEO. I didn't know how to market myself, right? Like it's different when you're initially and you have your network, right? So I was fortunate enough to really get a lot of clients early on because of my network, because I left a company and some of those people at that company were like, don't leave. Oh my God, I'll hire you because like I want you to help me, right? And I had people that knew of my work and that worked with me early on. But outside of that, when I really had to start expanding beyond those people that I personally knew into like right now where I have clients from all over the world, like it was a new skill to have to market and I didn't know how to do that. I just knew like, hey, hi, I'm Melissa. I'm here in Frederick, Maryland, and I'm originally from Wisconsin and I can help you. Like I had to figure out how to like be public, how to be visible, how to post on LinkedIn and online all of the time outside of my comfort zone, how to be on video, right? Without a script and like talk about what I knew. Like there was a lot of skills and comfort that I had to build and confidence I had to build that first year. And I spent a lot of time looking outside of myself to do that, like looking for the roadmap to figure that out. But I think ultimately, like if I want to just like spin that around, I think that made me better in my own process because that's when I really helped or started defining my own intellectual property and making processes my own and like helping people see how that same mistake I made is not going to get them what they want and how to work through that because I had to work through it myself.
Yeah, you did. I mean, everyone in a specific profession speaks a specific language, right? Like I, as a scientist, can have a conversation with a scientist who does what I do, and we're speaking in terms that somebody that isn't a scientist may not know. I mean, there are times I talk to you about my work and you're like, what is that? And I tell you and you're like, oh, okay, I get it. With you, the first year, you were looking at all of these things I had never even thought about. Payment platforms, like just all of these things, like website hosting, website templates, like all of these different things. And you sat here and you figured it all out and you put it all together and you did so beautifully. So it's great that you kind of gained that experience and now you're like in the nuts and bolts of stuff. You're the way I am when somebody's having a problem in the lab. I run down to the lab and I'm like, okay, let's look at this, this, and this. You're like, oh, this platform wasn't working, so I did this and I did that and I figured it out, and I'm just like, whoa, that's really cool because I wouldn't know how to do that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, thank you.
No, you've done a great job with it, and I think you've driven your business forward very, very well.
Yeah.
So when you think about coaching others, what values do you hope to impart on others from your experience changing your career when you had what was seemingly a successful and engaging job? You know, to leave that behind, strike out on your own.
Yeah.
What do you want people to take away from that?
Yeah. So funny, the way that you asked that question is, yes, I had a successful job and I left it. So what I help people do, one of the things is help them define what success is for them, right? So when you're using the word success in that definition, right, you're using it in the traditional sense that I used to also, which is it is of a certain caliber of title. You're getting paid a certain amount of money. It's in a respectful industry, right? You have like an appropriate work-life balance. Like you have good benefits. You know,
it's like you've obtained something that you worked to achieve.
Exactly. But if you do that, which is where a lot of my clients are and where I was, you work so hard to get somewhere and then you kind of like look around and you're like, oh, like this is it. Like I want to feel differently. I'm not like, I feel like there's problems I could be solving. Like I could be more challenged. There's a skill set that I have that I'm not using. And to dull that down over time is painful. Like it feels, and I don't think I've even talked to on the podcast in this way, but it feels like if I go back to that time, it feels like a betrayal to myself. Ooh. I know. It's like making me a little bit emotional. But like, yeah. Because like I'm going to work and I have everything that society says I should have. And everything I worked for, yet I don't feel it's good enough for me. And then that is like a total mind bender with like questioning yourself then, am I the problem? But then also to like feel like there's something in you, there's more you could give and you're not giving it. There's a bigger impact you could have and you're not making it. It feels like you're betraying yourself. Like you're just every day going to work, going into your routine, letting this part of you, it's like you're gaslighting yourself. Like, no, you don't need to solve those problems. You don't need to do this. Like, this is good enough. Right? But like that is painful to experience day after day. Which is why I think when it got for me with coaching, when I started doing that in the evenings when I was going through certification and I was taking clients at night, like I had such a different, even though I was tired, I had like a different reaction and experience with it than I did my regular job. And when you experience that, it becomes a lot clearer what you need to do. So for other people that I work with, especially the ones that are looking to figure out what is that next best move, it's really like my process is unique in that we figure out that best next move for you, not those external success factors that don't necessarily matter. And that doesn't mean you're taking a lower paid job or that you're like doing something you don't want to do, or it's like, oh, well, if I'm not doing this, then I'm like just doing like volunteer work and not making any money. It doesn't have to be that extreme. It's just you're knowing what you want for you and you're no longer questioning if you could be making a bigger impact. You're no longer silencing a part of your brain or your passion even if you don't know what it is, because what you have is good enough. It's like you truly feel like you belong and you're doing, like you're engaged intellectually, socially, emotionally, in every possible way because you're doing what's really meant for you to do.
It probably feels more authentic.
Yeah, and like you just don't have like it's like a void of that feeling of like, ooh, I can't like give in that way. I can't solve a problem in that way. I can't provide a solution that would really be this great because the company only has this amount of dollars or only can do this thing, or like it's just like you're able to really fully express everything that you're able to give. And as someone that wants to make an impact and wants to make a difference in their work, that the career isn't just a paycheck, like that is everything.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I would agree. It's like you're removing barriers so that you can holistically be who you want to be and show up in the way that you want to show up.
Yeah, and I had a client tell me that this week, that she was like, I never even realized, because it wasn't intentional, that I was being a little bit different at work than I was at home.
Mm-hmm.
And now I have this ease because I'm the same everywhere. I wake up, I have my morning routine, I go to work, I come home, and it's like, it's just fluid.
Yeah.
There's no like, this is my work self and this is my home self. And like, she didn't even know she was doing that. It's like me and my agreeable gray like wall color in my office before I had the cheetah print and the purple and the shattered glass and all of these things. Like that agreeable gray, I wasn't thinking, ooh, I need to be palatable to everyone. I need to like have these muted colors. It was in my subconscious of like, I need to be palatable. Like this is what they do in corporate. This is how other people are.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do think there is a value to that authenticity and transparency where you can be fluid between your work life and your home life. Mm-hmm. That you don't have to sequester or shelter a part of yourself when you go into work in a role, because we bring our whole selves to work. And
exactly.
You and I have said that to each other numerous times.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important to be able to be yourself.
It's
to do
everything.
Things that you feel are embodying who you are as a person.
Yeah, when you can express yourself fully, like you're not dimming a part of your intellect, when you're not dimming a part of your personality, when you're able to really be yourself, it changes everything.
Yeah,
and
you're just shining your light on the world.
Right. And some people think like, oh, well, maybe this is because you started your own business. But it's like, no, like you said, there's been tens of people.
One-on-one. Come on.
There's been more than tens one-on-one. But
it's like,
that's okay. Like you said, I
you influence easily.
Right.
We don't have to argue more.
Right.
There might be more.
But I'm just saying that it, like, there have been a small percentage of people that have started their own business as the result of our work together, like that have gone into consulting. I can count them on one hand. The majority, like 90%, 95%, have stayed in their same field in some way, have maybe changed companies, changed type of role, something like that. Like, so it's not like they are having to start a whole new industry, start a whole new company to feel the way that we're talking about right now. The difference is when you don't know where you're going and what you want and who you are, and then when you do.
Yeah. It's a difference between not knowing the path versus knowing it.
Yeah, and so much of knowing the path is knowing who you are.
Yeah.
Like, the reason people don't know where to go is because they don't know what they want. And they don't know what they want because they're constantly being flooded with what is right, what is wrong, what is everyone else doing, what is the right answer.
Yeah, but there is no true right or wrong when it comes to your own career and the path that you want to follow.
Yeah, and like that sounds so cliche, but like that is why like that is why the process that I use is so good, because it builds that, it's like so clear, this is exactly what it is that you want. So it's not like, oh, now I've gone into this like euphoric place. It's like it's data. That's why I know who I work with. I work with a lot of people like you.
Yeah, we are data-driven
Scientists,
scientists.
PhDs, a lot of people that are very intellectual. So that's why we create a career protocol. It tells you exactly.
Protocols.
Yes,
That's what we follow for a
yes,
living.
exactly. And that's
Yes.
what we create together is their career protocol. They know exactly what they want. They know exactly what questions to ask to know if like a company is like following their posters or not. They know exactly the type of work they want to do, the exact type of boss they want to work for. It becomes crystal clear, and then they're confident in what they know what they want. They're no longer questioning if they're in the right place.
Yeah. No, that makes a ton of sense. And that type of approach is extremely attractive to people that think like me.
Exactly.
You know, it's like we put it in writing, we execute it,
Yes.
we evaluate the data, we make adjustments,
Yes.
we moved on. It's a scientific mindset. Like, you need to be flexible and know that whatever you're getting as results is going to, you know, influence what you're doing down the road. And I think kind of revisiting what people have done, what they wanted for themselves versus where they are versus what they can change to move where they're going in their future is extremely powerful.
It is. And and I know because I know the people that I work with, that's how Leader Incubator is also. It's not this concept like high theory, like awareness. It's okay, here, you want to be more inclusive? Here is why it's a problem. Here's exactly what to do this week. Okay, you want to have more effective one-on-ones? Like, here is an actual agenda.
Yeah.
Like, here, you want to, your team's not performing well? Like, here are the interventions that you can take from your toolbox, and here's why you want to do them and what impact they will have. It's like, because everyone that I'm working with is very smart. They're already good employees. They already do a good job. This is about taking it to the next level, but it's not about doing it in a way that is like academic and studious and like, let's take several months in order for you to just like grasp a concept and then just like leave it in your textbook and never look at it again. It's like very practical. Like, let's use this right now to help you be the leader you want to be the person you want to be.
It's a haptic approach.
Yes.
And that's very valuable in our industry.
Yeah.
So I went through all the questions
Okay.
that I wrote down.
All right.
I have one more question for you.
Oh my gosh.
How difficult is it for you not to coach me when I come to you on a regular basis complaining about things or presenting you with situations that I may have dealt with on a daily basis?
Okay. Well, so I think early on,
In the good old days.
No. But early on, I think I had a hard time distinguishing, like, leaving the coach at the office, so to speak, right? And so we've had those conversations of like, okay, you're coaching me and I just want you to be supportive right now, or, you know, hear me out or whatever. And so
that was even before you were a coach.
Right, because I think I'm just naturally a coach. Like, I was a coach before I was called a coach. Before I went to coach certification, I was coaching people. Yeah. I was coaching managers. Like, I just have always coached people. I coached people when I worked in child welfare. I was coaching judges on what to do. Like, I've just always had that in me. So I think that's just part of my personality. So I will say that being a coach helps me be incredibly patient and open-minded. And so I think that there are times that I am not intentionally coaching you, but I'm taking a coaching approach, and maybe you don't know it.
Awesome. I don't even know how that makes me feel right now.
But... No, like, not like, because I'm not coaching you to an outcome, but it's more like, you know, if someone isn't a coach, if you complain about something at work, right? Somebody might just say like, oh, this is what I think you should do, or this sucks, right? Where if you ever find me asking you questions, which I do a lot of the time, I'm like,
oh yeah,
right, like, oh,
you
well,
are the master of asking questions.
So that is coaching essentially. So it's like helping. It's asking you, stop. The eye roll is not on notice. So it's me like asking you like, oh, well, what do you want to do about that? Or, you know, what have you tried? Or have you considered this?
What would you have done differently? I've heard that. Right.
And so that is just, but I don't see it as like I'm putting on a coach hat and coaching you. I think it's just part of my personality, and I'm in a place where I just don't feel the need to like tell you what to do, so I'm there to support you and like in whatever you need. And sometimes if I have a strong opinion on something, I'll ask you, I'll be like, well, do you want my coach opinion, or do you want me to just like be here to support you? And you'll tell me which role you need me to play at that time. And sometimes you want me to just be that support person. And then like a day or two later, you're like, okay, what is your advice? Like after you kind of process it. So I think for me, I have a boundary. I don't ever officially coach you. I think I do ask questions to help you process what you're going through, but that is just like natural in my communication style now. I do that with everyone. I do it with my friends now too. I do it with everyone. Yeah. But it's not me coaching. Like it's hard to explain because it's different when I'm coaching a client versus if I'm asking you questions. It's just a technique in communication. Does that help? Because you actually do a little bit of that with me too. You will ask me
over the years. It's like this whole podcast of turning the mic around on you.
You've learned.
I've learned from my observations in your communications with me of when to ask particular questions. Yes. Like, how do you feel about that?
Yeah.
You know, those types of things. So,
right. But you didn't used to like back in the day.
Oh, no, I didn't.
You didn't used to ask questions, right? It was just like a different way of communicating. But now, I mean, you've also gone on your own like development journey also. And I think we just communicate in a different way now. It's like we have a different tool or a different vocabulary than we had before.
Well, and it's, you know, it is the scientific process. It's also trial and error. So I've also learned that asking those questions helps to lead you to a different outcome than just responding the way that I might have in the past.
Right. Well, and it's a lot of it is like, if you think of like the way that I parent, a lot of the way that I parent is coaching also.
You ask questions constantly.
Right. Because it's like helping them make their decisions as opposed to always being the parent that's saying, this is what you need to do. This is what not to do, because that doesn't teach them anything. So I try to teach them by helping them make their own decisions, which is really what coaching is.
Yeah. It requires a lot of patience.
Right. So we're back to me being amazing.
Yeah. I mean, you are.
That's how we're ending.
Yeah. Absolutely. You are. You've done an amazing job.
I get a lot of practice in my life.
Yeah. I'm not just like some schlub off the street. Like,
no, you're amazing. I have
an MBA. I have a master's in
you are
Biotech.
incredible.
Like, I get the business aspect.
You do. It's amazing. It's such a benefit to serve this industry that makes such a difference for so many patients. And then to be married to someone that's also in the industry, like you just get it. And that is just a perk.
Well, and to see you launch a business and to have had such an amazing amount of success in the first 3 years, from my perspective, you know, when I have my MBA hat on, like it's very impressive because a lot of businesses try to launch and they fail, and you've taken this and you've really run with it and you're doing an amazing job with it. And you are, you know, the byproduct of what you do for a living is you are helping people in a different way than what Biotech or Pharma does to help people, right? It's on a different level and a different scale. And it's just been rewarding for me to kind of, you know, be on the roller coaster with you and just kind of riding along. Like you're the one, you know, building the track and directing the train. And, you know, I'm just kind of along for the ride, but it's been rewarding to see how well you've done with this.
Oh, you're making me cry.
Oh, I'm not trying to make you cry.
Oh my gosh. Are you crying?
No.
Oh. There's the scientist. That's how it is. Yeah. I'm always like, I'm crying. It's just like, no.
No, I'm not. That's what you deal with. That's a different story. That's a different podcast.
Oh, okay. Well, is there anything else? The tables have been turned. I know I'm not supposed to be leading, but are you ready to wrap this up?
I mean, yeah, I think so. Like I said, I went through all the questions I wrote down. I went through everything I get them to ask. Is there anything else you would like to tell your audience that they may not know?
No, I mean, I talk to them every week. So
you do, but it's different when it's from the personal perspective.
Yeah, I leave some personal things in there. Yeah, I think I'm going to do an episode in the future that are like things to know about me.
No, that'd be cute.
That'd be cute. Yeah, I think because especially now that there's 138, 39 episodes, a lot of people coming in, like, they're just finding it now and listening. And sometimes they'll go back and binge a lot of them, and sometimes they won't. And so I am thinking of doing one that's more, like, kind of behind the scenes, like, what you don't know about me. Like,
yeah, I mean, do they know you blew up your life?
I don't know. I don't know. Because maybe I talk about that from a career perspective. I don't necessarily, I've alluded. I haven't shared a lot because that's not necessarily like the context of my podcast.
Well, understandable,
But-
but it's, you know, you said the courage to make this
That's true.
transition was
Yeah.
based on the courage that you had to make
That's true.
a very difficult transition in your personal life.
You're right. And I think a lot of people make a lot of assumptions about me too. I've heard that a lot throughout my life, that they think I come from a certain thing, that I've had certain passages that have made it easier for me. And I do definitely have, yeah, I do definitely have like privilege, but I've definitely had hardships too. So I'm not getting it all in now, but I think I'm going to do like things to know about me episode in the future.
Yeah.
So I will leave that there because we've been going for a while here.
Yeah. Well, you know, apparently I had really good questions.
You really
that made
did.
You go, oof.
You really, this was really fun. So, if y'all listening want us to do this again, then definitely let me know. Send
Yeah, we
me
can
a
do
message.
Tipsy Turnaround Part 2.
Tipsy turnaround, maybe every once in a while.
Yeah.
No, this was really fun. So, I appreciate you wanting to come on and asking me the questions that you did.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah,
I
it was more emotional
I
than I
like
expected.
putting you in the hot seat because you
Yeah.
often put me in the hot seat.
It's true.
So, you know.
And to be honest, I like being in the hot seat.
Yeah, you do handle it much better than me.
No, that's true.
It's totally
Everyone
true.
loves the episodes you're on.
It's totally true.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll put a poll up sometime.
Oh,
All right. That is all for this Tipsy Turnaround, hosted by Ellen on my podcast.
yeah.
And I will see you next week. Hey there, if you want to go from technical SME to the leader everyone wants to work for, you definitely want to be in my leadership development community that is exclusive to women in the pharma biotech industry. Head to yourworthycareer.com/incubator to get all of the details about the Standout Leader Incubator and how you can join us.